Hello everyone, in this video we are going to make a simple navigation bar using HTML and CSS. Also we are going to use Flexbox. So this is what we are going to make. So this navbar is completely responsive. So if I inspect this, open up developer tools, and you will see that when I shrink this page, the responsive nature kicks in like this. So this is what we are going to make in this video. So let's start. So now I am inside VS Code and I have created a folder named 1. Inside this I have created index.html file, style.css file, and one image which will be the background image, and a readme file which contains the link from where I downloaded the image. So in the index.html file, let's delete this and write exclamation mark and press tab. So this will insert the basic structure of a page. This doc type HTML is a preamble which specifies that we are using HTML5 to lay out the structure of a page, and this is the root tag which is called HTML. Inside this we have two main tags. One is head, which contains metadata, that is data about data, and a body tag, and all the content goes inside this body tag. So we are using this lang attribute in HTML tag to set the language, which is English in this case. Inside the head we have this car set which is specified to UTF-8. This is encoding, and this is the meta tag which will help our website to be responsive. And then we have the title. Let's change this to navbar. Now I am going to link our style sheet, which is style.css. Now let's write the markup of the page, which will be a simple HTML5 standard markup. So first I'm going to create a header tag. This will be the parent tag of all the elements that will reside in our website. Then I'm going to have a nav tag which will contain the navigation section, and after this I'll have a simple h1 tag with text navbar example. Now inside the nav tag we'll have a link which I'm going to style like a logo. It will be a tag. It will go to nowhere. So the fragment identifier will be hash, and then I'm going to give it an ID since it will be a unique element in a page. The logo will be a unique element, so that's why I'm going to use ID. So I'll write logo, and inside this I'll write nav, and then I'm going to create a span tag because I want this bar to be of different color. So this is our logo. After this I'm going to create a UL tag. Inside this I'm going to create a li tag. Inside this we'll have links, so this will be home. Now just copy, duplicate this, press shift option and down arrow in Mac to duplicate this 4 times. Home, about, blog, contact. And after this we'll have 2 buttons. So write button. Inside this I'll write sign in, duplicate this, and sign up. So this is the markup of a page. Now let's write the CSS. So in style.css file, first I'm going to add the font that we are going to use. So search for Google font and click on this link. Here we are going to add this Roboto style. Click here, and now click this get font button. Click on this get embed, and here click this import. Just copy this and paste it at the top of the style.css file. Then after this I'm going to set the margin and padding on every element by using the universal selector, which is asterisk. Then I'll write margin 0 and padding 0, and I'll set the box sizing to border box. Then I'm going to target the body. Color of the text will be simple hash FFF, which will be white, and font family will be Roboto, and the fallback will be sans serif. After this I'm going to target this header. So I'll write header, height will be 100 VH, width will be 100%, background image will be this bg.jpg, background size will be cover, and background position will be center, and and background repeat will be no repeat. So this is just for decorative purposes. This is not the code for navigation section. So let's see how a page looks like. Open with live server. So this is how a page looks like. Now let's start building the navbar. So first let's set the text decoration property of anchor tag to none. So to remove the underline, and I'm going to set the color to white. And I'll set the font size to 0.8 rem. So 1 rem equals 16 pixel. By default, you can change the relative unit if you like, but by default it is 16 pixels. So 0.8 rem will be, you do the calculation, 0.8 into 16. So this will be 12.8 pixel. So now let's work on the navigation section. So write navigation. I'll target the nav tag. First thing, I'm going to specify the position to relative. I'll explain you why I'm doing this later. And top will be 20 pixel. I'll explain you later, don't worry. Max width will be 80%, and margin will be top bottom 0 and left and right will be auto, so as to center the navigation section. This is centered align. Let's add a border. To clearly visualize it. So this is center align. If I remove this, it will be here. So to center line, I'm writing margin 0 and auto. I'll give it a padding of all around 20 pixel, and then I'm going to set the shadow using box shadow property. So for the horizontal blur, I'm going to use 0 pixel. For vertical blur, I'm going to use 10 pixel. For the blur radius, I'm going to use 20 pixel, and for the spread, I'm going to use 0 pixel. And for the color, I'm going to use 239, 70, 54 and 0.35. So let's see. So this is how it's look like. Now let's style the logo. Since the logo has ID, so I'll target it using hash, and font size I'll specify 2 rem, so which will be 32 pixel. And the span, this span, I'll set the color to hash CE000E. So now a navbar looks like this. Then I'm going to work on this UL list. So write nav UL. So what I'm going to do is, since this UL is the parent of all these elements, so I'm going to display flex to this UL element, which will help me to align these elements. So I'll write display flex. So let's see. Now it will be horizontally aligned. Then I'll write list style, type will be none. But first let me do one thing. This is the nav parent element, in which we have two elements, this logo and this UL, these two elements. So I'm going to write display flex for layout. Display flex, which is going to do this, and then I'll write justify content space between, and then align item to center. This will vertically align the items. Now in the UL, I'm going to write, I'll give it some spacing. So I'll use the cap Cap will be 24 pixel. See, we have the spacing. And also I'm going to align it to center. So I'll write align item center. So this is a UL setup. And now let's work on the button. Basic layout of a nav bar is complete. Now I'll work on the button. So nav UL button. Here I'll set the padding top and bottom 8 pixel, right and left 16 pixel. Cursor will be pointer. So when you move your cursor over to the button, it will display as a pointer. Background color will be #C, this one. Let's see. See, we have this border. We are now going to remove it. So write border 0. Color of the text will be #FFF. Font weight I'm going to use 600. And border radius will be 8 pixel, so as to give us some curve at the edges. So this is our nav bar. Now let's center this. Target the H1. Right, font size will be 4 rem. Font weight will be 800. Position I'm going to set to absolute. This will bring the H1 element outside the document flow, so you can position it any way you like. So I'll write 50% from top, and from left will be 50%. I'll use the transform translate property. -50%, -50%. So this will now what happen? Sorry, here I have H2. So this is now at the center. One more property I'm going to specify is white space will be no wrap. Now this is the navbar for the desktop version. Now let's build the navbar for the mobile version. So I'll use media queries, and I'm going to target the navbar when the max width is 600. Up to width 600 pixel, the desktop version will be displayed, and when the width is below 600 pixel, the mobile version will display. So I'll write at media screen and max width will be 600 pixel. Now inside this, what I'm going to do is first change the flex direction to column. So let's see what happens. See, now this one, since this nav element has two children, so this logo and this UL is vertically aligned. Now after this, I'll write gap 30 pixel. So we have some gap, and then I'll specify height to 55%. So this is the height. Now after this, I'm going to remove this margin. So I'll write top 0. So this is why I have given this position relative, and top 20% in the desktop version, and in the mobile version I'm just removing the top, and in the mobile version I'm just setting the top to 0. And then I'm going to set the max width to 100%, and background color will be #181818. Now I'm going to target the nav UL. Here also I'll give it flex direction to column. Let's see what it looks like. And I'm going to give it the width of 100%. In here I'll write Z index to, let's say, 99, so that it comes at the top. After this, I'm going to target the nav UL LI. I'll set the width to 100%. I'll use text align center. I'll set a border bottom. First let's see, I'm going to remove this. I'll set a border bottom 0.5 pixel solid and hash this color. Let's see. Now I'm going to text align center. I'll write text align center and then I'll give some padding all around 8 pixel. Now let's work on this button. I'm going to make it full width. So write button, display will be block and width will be 100%. And finally I'm going to write transition to 0.5 second all. So let's see, if I expand, we have the desktop version, and when we shrink, we'll have the mobile version. So this is a video to create a simple navigation bar using HTML, CSS and Flexbox. So if you do like this video, give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel.